Have you noticed the signs and then suddenly everything went quiet? That silence isn't a mistake. You're in the in-between phase. There are moments in life when something greater begins to move around you. A number repeats. A message shows up again and again. A feeling rises in your spirit that you can't ignore. These aren't coincidences. They're part of God's design. Today, I want to guide you through what happens after you see the signs, through the quantum mechanics behind alignment, the science of awareness, and the spiritual truth that God is the one who places every sign in your path. This isn't just information. This is a journey. Signs open awareness. Take a breath. Think of the last sign you saw. In spirituality, we call these synchronicities. In quantum physics, they're probability alignments. But at the deepest level, they are God's way of opening your awareness. In quantum mechanics, a particle exists in many possible states until it's observed. Your life works the same way. Multiple paths exist at once. A sign is the moment God draws your attention to one of those paths. It's His way of saying, "Look here, I'm guiding you." The universe doesn't speak on its own. It reflects the movement of God's hand. Action plus embodiment. Create reality. Awareness is the invitation. Action is your response. In science, observation creates potential, but movement creates momentum. When you take action, you turn God's nudge into a lived reality. But action alone isn't enough. Transformation requires embodiment. Embodiment is when your habits, your choices, your energy, and your identity begin to align with the version of you God is calling you to become. In neuroscience, this is neuroplasticity, your brain rewiring itself. In quantum physics, it's frequency alignment. In spirituality, it's obedience and trust. When you embody the new version of yourself, you step into the timeline God prepared for you. The in-between phase, the quiet after the signs. After the signs, after the synchronicities, after the excitement of feeling guided, there is a phase most people don't talk about. A quiet phase. Less clarity, less intensity, less confirmation, more stillness. And this stillness is not a mistake. It's not abandonment. It's not a sign that you misread everything. This is the in-between. The space where God pauses the external signs so He can work on your internal state. This is stabilization. Think of it like pouring water into a glass. At first, the water swirls, moves, ripples. But if you wait, the surface becomes still. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is settled into place. Your spirit works the same way. God expands your awareness quickly, but your system needs time to stabilize. Nervous system recalibration. When signs appear, your nervous system lights up. You feel excitement, anticipation, spiritual adrenaline, but you can't live in that heightened state forever. So God brings you into stillness to let your nervous system recalibrate. Scientifically, this is your brain shifting from high stimulation, high dopamine, high alertness into grounding, regulation, integration. Your body is learning how to hold the new level. Identity. Catching up. Your identity is the slowest part of transformation. Your spirit receives the sign instantly. Your mind understands it quickly. But your identity, the part of you that says, "This is who I am," needs time to catch up. This is where old patterns surface, not because you're failing, but because your old identity is dissolving. In neuroscience, this is identity restructuring. In spirituality, it's shedding. In God's design, it's refinement. Nothing is wrong. The system is updating. Just like a phone updates its software, your inner system is updating its spiritual, emotional, and energetic code. You don't see the update happening, you just notice the stillness. But behind the scenes, God is rewiring your patterns, strengthening your faith, preparing your next steps, aligning the external world, stabilizing your internal world. The silence is not absence, it's preparation. The biggest mistake after seeing signs: trying to force proof. After God shows you signs, after He opens your awareness, after He places synchronicities in your path, most people make one mistake. They start trying to force proof. They want more signs, more confirmation, more reassurance, more evidence that they're on the right path. but this actually pulls them away from alignment. Overanalyzing synchronicities. When you overanalyze signs, you shift from spirit to survival mode. You dissect every detail. You try to decode everything. You turn guidance into a puzzle. But signs are meant to be noticed, not dissected. Chasing reassurance. When you chase reassurance, you're not seeking guidance, you're seeking safety. But chasing reassurance sends a signal. I don't trust what you already showed me. In quantum terms, doubt collapses coherence. In spirituality, it blocks intuition. In God's design, it replaces trust with control. Talking yourself out of intuition. You feel the nudge. You sense the direction. You know what God placed in your spirit. But then the mind steps in. What if I'm wrong? What if I imagined it? What if I misread the sign? This is the ego trying to protect you from risk. But intuition is not logical. It's relational. It's the quiet voice of God speaking to your spirit. The energetic truth. When you chase confirmation, you signal doubt. When you embody trust, reality responds. Trust stabilizes your frequency. Trust aligns your nervous system. Trust opens the next step. In God's design, trust is the bridge between the sign and the blessing. God shows you the door. God will always meet you where you are. He will place the door in front of you. Through signs, synchronicities, opportunities, people, ideas. But He will never push you through it. The door can open. It can glow with possibility. It can be perfectly aligned. But only you can walk through. And walking through the door means leaving something behind. The invitation from God. So if you've been seeing signs, if something has been stirring in your spirit, if God has been whispering to you, this is your moment. Awareness opened the door. Action and embodiment shape the path. Your choice locks it in. And now, God is waiting for your yes. Are you ready to walk through? If this resonates with your spirit, if something in you feels seen or understood, take a moment to sit with it. Let God speak to you through the stillness. And if you feel led, share this with someone who might be standing at their own doorway.